Hey everybody, happy Wednesday. Today is Wednesday, January 24th. We are doing the TED Show, episode 101. Woohoo! Woohoo! And I have my friend Eric Rawlings here. Thank you for being here, Eric.
Thank you.
We have so much, thank you. It's an honor to have you. We have so much to talk about. Let us know that you can hear us or see us. That's always my biggest fear, is that we have nobody who can hear us and then nobody gets to see how all the amazing information that you bring to the table. So I'm going to keep an eye on that. But welcome, man. Tony's on. Hey, Tony, let us know that you can see us and hear us. Jason Perez is on. Give us a thumbs up. We have a lot to talk about. We had the best conversation right beforehand, and I always like to do that because I get some insights. Hey, Sean Kelly, what's up, buddy?
Hey, Sean, how you doing?
How you doing, bud? So he can obviously hear us and see us, so we're golden.
Good.
Welcome, my friend.
Thank you.
I'm so excited to have you on. All right, so we want to get right to it. Because John Wild says two of my favorite people. That's
oh,
sweet.
nice. Thanks,
Love
John.
He's awesome.
I got your T-shirt.
See, this is why so I can see that far. You probably can too, but that's why sometimes I have the laptop because I can't see that far. But this is perfect.
I'm trying not to squint.
Yeah, I'm trying. You look good. You look good. All right, so we have a lot to talk about. Give us a little bit of history of you, because people always want to know, where did Eric come from? What are his humble beginnings? What's happening? And also people like to know the motivation for where you're at, because you're not only in real estate, which we'll talk some about, but you're in soil and water conservation. Mm-hmm. You're running for Orange County Commissioner District 3.
Correct, yes.
And so you have a big thing coming up. So let's talk about your beginnings.
Okay, well, I moved down here in 1989. And
you was 10.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll go with that. I'm from Michigan originally. People ask, how did I get involved in the environment? And my dad said when I was 13, he said, you need a summer job, and I want you to come up with something. And so one of my friends, our family friends, grew this amazing garden. And I said, that's what I want to do, is I want to sell vegetables. And my dad's like, God, that's a really hard thing to do. And
Dad's probably like,
he's like, God, yeah, now it's gonna be, you know, and he's gonna drive me to where we planted the garden and all that. So yeah, all my dad's suggestions, he's always kind of regretted it later on. But so that's what I did for 4 years. In the summertime, I had this big Italian paint cart that my mom bought at an antique show, and I grew vegetables, and I went door to door and sold my vegetables. And it was really kind of building that community spirit, and also really knowing that when you don't have rain, or you don't have water, or you don't have sun, you've got bug issues, that you know, back in the day, if one of those things, I mean, alternatively, any of those people could have gone to the grocery store.
Correct.
But
Correct.
You know, from me growing up, on my perspective, it was a pride thing. It was you know, wanting to make sure that people had fresh fruits and vegetables. And so if something bad went, it really made you have a stronger appreciation and how lucky we are to have food.
So I love a lot of the times when people come on and they talk about where they started, how they got motivated to do what they're doing. It's always that there's some kind of young thing going on, and you obviously had, even though your dad's like, please don't grow up and own a stand on the side of the road, he was very happy to encourage you to do something. And that's what's so important, I think, that if your kids or your young adults have something that they want to do, remember, they're not necessarily going to just... Eric's not his age, 31, and has a stand on the side of the road. There's nothing wrong with that. But you want to encourage them to do anything, as long as you're happy. But give them that encouragement, I think. So I talk to a lot of people who are at the place in your life and are doing the things that you do, and somebody encouraged them at a younger age to do what their passion was.
Well, my mom and dad are still my best friends, and we grew up on a lake. And so at a very young age, we were doing lake cleanups, and my parents were big conservationists. And so I really learned at an early age really about the appreciation of our natural resources. And it's true that when you're passionate about something younger and you really hold that interest, it's just a natural path.
So Jake, we love Jake Boss.
Yeah.
He says,
hey,
I put Eric's vote sign in my Thornton Park yard. Love you both. We love you too, Jake.
Thank you, Jake.
Awesome. All right, so but you obviously eventually moved down here. You said 1989. Mm-hmm. What brought you to Florida?
Well, it was 64 days with no sun in Michigan, and it was just after Christmas. But my parents said, "We're pulling you out of school. We're going to do this. We're going to do this on the cheap. We got a hotel room on 192, and we spent 10 days down here. And it was a day just like it is today. It was just azure blue, and it was 79 degrees. And my dad's a veterinarian, and I said, why don't we live down here? And my mom said, well, your dad's veterinary practice is in Michigan. And I said, well, they don't have cats and dogs down here? And my dad's like, that's a lot of gratitude. When you're old enough, you can move to Orlando. Well, and here I am 30 years later.
That's crazy. So you came here, and then what did you end up doing? What was your first venture here?
I went to Valencia. And then I was a massage therapist. I owned my own spa.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, actually, we're the LGBT center. That used to be my spa. And I had a tanning bed and a chiropractor and 4 massage therapists and a nail tech.
We joke about how there's only $1.99 for R&D on the show, and I spent it on the booze. So I did not know that. That's
that was
cool.
a long time ago.
So you were always into trying to help people, make people feel better, because that's what massage is about.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Well, and I did a lot more therapeutic than relaxational. So I worked with chiropractors, and they wrote prescriptions, and it was really post-car accidents. And did a lot of that. Now, why I got out of that is because then the state, as they often do, say they deregulate, and they said, okay, you no longer have to accept insurance. So it just killed the clinical massage practice.
That's interesting. All right, so you decided, okay, I can't do that anymore. But you still, as you're doing that, you're still involved in the community, or at least in your own neck of the woods. And so you're a realtor now.
15 years.
15 years. At Mainframe, we love Sean.
We do.
We love Sean. And John, we love all you guys. Mainframe's an awesome company. But you're doing so much more. So you're also our Soil and Water Conservation District Chair.
Yeah, wow, you get 10 points for remembering that, because it is a mouthful.
I'm going to get the next one. Let's see if I get the other 10 points.
Okay.
But you ran for that a few years ago,
right?
Correct?
I started out, first of all, when you get down to that ballot, no one ever knows who soil and water persons are. People are running for that office, and people really don't know.
That's true.
And so what I try to do is, and I started running early, is to educate people what Soil and Water Conservation District Supervisors and what our responsibilities and how we can help out. In 2012, I started as a volunteer, then I was an associate supervisor, appointed as a supervisor when there was a vacancy, and then I ran in 2014, and I've held that position as chair since then.
And what does that position do? Because I think even though people knew it was on the ballot and probably picked a name, they don't necessarily understand what that means and how that impacts our community.
Soil and Water Conservation Supervisors, depending where you are, makes a huge difference of the scope of work that you do. If you're in a more rural area, then maybe it's going to be something more around citrus or cattle or something like that. In our area, because Orange County has been so urbanized, we still have a little bit to the west and a little bit to the east, but for the most part, that we are an urbanized area. So water conservation is really the most important aspect. And as you can see, when we have droughts or excessive rains, that making sure that when the lakes are clean, that we know how to conserve our water. We do a lot of education. On February 2nd, we're having a huge event, usually about 200 students at Lou Gardens. It's called the Envirothon, and it is free and open to any high school students. And they do a friendly competition with water testing and soil identification. Last year, Celebration High School won.
That's awesome.
And so, yeah, and it really, again, getting back to the youth, that back then, or, when I was starting out, that I hope that these kids are going to continue on and teach their kids and their neighborhoods, whether, they're a president of an HOA or whether they run for office someday, that they take those talents that they learned and implement them here.
So I love that. You do so many events, which I want to talk about. You do so much. Your social media platform, I believe, is really powerful. Before you, I didn't even know we had a Soil and Water Conservation District Chair.
Okay.
So what you've done, I feel like, is really put it out there and educated people. Your social media, you post the pictures of the lakes, you post the pictures of all of the initiatives that you do. And I actually had no idea we had one, A, and B, would have absolutely no idea what that means. To me, that sounds like some good old boys position that's created, and it has nothing to do with me, and it's not going to impact me at all. But you've created a world where it is important, and people are listening to you and seeing things. So talk about some of the initiatives that you've done.
Okay, and you also want to add, of all those things that we've done, we get $0 from any funding. All this is either self-funded or that is partnering with other different people and organizations to get things done. So it would be great if we had a budget.
So there's zero funding for what you do?
Well, yeah, at Hillsborough County, they're funded $300,000 a year plus. Orange County, since 2007, has not funded soil and water at all, and I've been really trying to get that funding. I think we're getting close, but you know, there was some bad blood way before I was involved in soil and water. So, but we have created a climate here where education and being more accessible really helps. And some of the initiatives that we've started, I've started No Foam Zone, which was what we're trying to ban styrofoam single-use containers. Universal just stopped using on their own merit, and I commend them for not using styrofoam anymore. And then you look at places like Hammered Lamb. They're completely off of styrofoam, and they also are using paper straws, so they got rid of the plastic straws. Little Indies, Will's Pub, same thing. You know, only compostable and naturally sourced products that they're using in their restaurants.
So what people will ask, and I want to ask too, so by not using styrofoam, is styrofoam bad because it's not recyclable? What is the rationale behind going, okay, let's get rid of styrofoam completely?
Okay, it's broad. Number one, it's not recyclable. The only time that styrofoam is readily accessible for or have recycling is if it were like in a packaging material for a refrigerator or something like that, where it's like kind of that virgin, yes, if you will, styrofoam. But single-use containers that we use millions and millions all across the country every single day, we have it for all of about 5 minutes. It's made of petrochemicals. It is toxic when it's burnt, and then it's thrown away. And here, just in Lake Ivanhoe, when we did a cleanup with Eco Action and we were out on kayaks, Jeff Shelby said, "Hey, Eric, I want to show you something." And he picked up a turtle. And I was like, God, why didn't he swim away? He said, they can't, because the snail eggs that they get, their food look just like beads of styrofoam. So they eat that styrofoam, they ingest it, and they become buoyant. And they can't get to their food source, and they literally die of starvation in their own shell. And that was the grossest thing. And I said, you know what, Orange County, City of Orlando, we've got to do something about it. And we are doing something about it. The state preempted me from passing an ordinance, or from the City of Orlando passing an ordinance. We already had the language down. We are really working together. I think that this is going to be an ongoing issue, but I do see success on the horizon.
Why would the state, not to get political, but why would the state preempt that?
Lobbyists? Well, it is political.
So
and basically that they, a lot of corporations, and I won't go into all the details on that, but they, and I'm free if anybody wants to call and talk to me about exactly what happened in Tallahassee a couple legislative sessions ago, I'd be happy to have that conversation. But what they did is they wrote a bunch of checks. So what they did is home rule, meaning that the way that we govern ourselves in our own municipalities at your back door, the state preempts that. And so they make the control go to the state. And the way that they did it was pretty shady. It was no notice. They only had 2 people in, and they tied it on to what I can't believe is the Chapter 500 bill that regulates grocery stores and convenience stores.
So when Eric's out there putting all of this on social media and really putting a big force behind a drive to make a difference, a lot of people don't know the story. So thank you for sharing that, because sure, I didn't know. I'm like, I understand what the big deal is. Like, it's the same thing with the the beer, the plastic beer things,
right?
Where it gets caught around the duck or the swan. I mean, you can visually see that and you understand it, but I didn't understand until you just explained it why it was so important about the styrofoam. I had no idea.
Well, another important thing that we don't see but we hear about is fracking. And
yes, let's talk about that.
Fracking, now we've had some great successes. The first 2 years that I was involved, there was pro-fracking bills, meaning that there were companies that were wanting to come in here and extract. Fracking is the practice of fracturing or melting the rock, that would be acidification, that it actually melts the rock to release gas, natural gas. And then with it's proprietary rights on what those chemicals that they're using to break down that limestone karst that our houses sit upon. And then they go through the aquifer, they extract that. Now we have a ton of wastewater with a bunch of chemicals that we don't know what to do with really, and so they have open air pits. Well, if we have a hurricane or a really summer rainy season, and where are they going to take it then?
But what is so I guess back up and really flashcard it for me.
Okay.
What is the point from their perspective of fracking? What is it that they're missing or they're trying to get to that is a resource that they don't already have?
Well, and why do it here?
And why do it here?
If North Dakota, if they want to mess up their state and do it, well, that's really up to them. But economically, we could see what the perception of when the Deepwater Horizon spill. It ruined a lot of family businesses. It ruined a lot of wildlife. But even more so, it ruined our tourist trade. And you look at places like Sarasota or Fort Myers, or they were saying, oh, maybe it's going to go around. So when they were talking about that, so just having that perception that there was going to be tar balls, that there was going to be oil, there was going to be dead dolphins, it devastated our summer economy. And a lot of those mom and pop places, really that summer season is a make or break for them. And it's the same thing that I've been saying for years about fracking, is that if a well were to break in our water, there is no contingency plan to clean up an aquifer. There isn't. How are you going to get down into it? It is a constantly flowing river underneath us. And so even if that perception happened, and even if it was happening in Southwest Florida or maybe in the Panhandle, where the primary places that they would want to frack, but just having that perception here, what is that going to do? What if we have a huge convention center gig that we're having, and they're about ready to sign on the next year, and there's a million different places. They can go to Chicago, or they can go to Las Vegas. They're thinking, I don't know. So it now is an environmental hazard, but it's also an economic hazard.
So now you have decided, which I love. First of all, thank you for what you're doing. I think it's so important. I think you've brought it to the forefront and certainly made Soil and Water District Chair something that people actually know about, which I don't feel like we did prior. So that's big, and I think that goes along with what all of the work that you're doing, and I think it's awesome. And we'll post all of the contact information for Eric at the end of the show. So now you take this, so you've made this impact, and now you've decided to run for Orange County District Commissioner, District 3.
Correct.
So tell them what that means and what District 3 encompasses.
Okay, District 3 is south of the 408, and this is just rough because it goes around a little bit, but it's south of the 408. It's north of the beach line, basically from Orange Avenue 441, and then it goes east all the way to Dean Road. So it's a incredibly diverse and very, very large district. And I live in District 3, and we've had a lot of great successes with the environment and the lake cleanups of when we've done Conway and Lake Holden, some of the other area lakes, and that's another thing that I would like to get in.
Please talk.
So Commissioner Clark has decided to run for mayor, and now this is a vacant seat, and so I decided to run. I announced in November, and it's been great. It's been a lot of fun. We have battalions of volunteers that have been with me since the very first lake cleanups to people that I've known since the day that I moved here. So it's really exciting. It's an honor to serve in the capacity that I have been serving for the last 5 years. And I really think that some of the initiatives that are coming up, I would like to be on the forefront and be one of those voting members in Orange County.
So you'll be able to, as a commissioner, continue to do the work in conservation and for our environment and for the protection of our environment, because I think what happens is people say, okay, so people are graduating to the next level, that makes sense, but you're taking your belief system and what you want to accomplish really to the next level. You're taking it to more people, even though you're the district chair. Commission seat 3 gives you a broader an ability to reach a broader audience, I think.
Sure, and also on different things that are also environmental, but then they become economical, and then they become there's graduated steps on this. And when you look at transportation, yes, mass transit is great for the environment, but in 3 years we get all the responsibility of paying for Sunrail.
Oh, I didn't know that. So
yeah,
say that again.
So
we're not paying for it right now?
We pay a portion of it, but the federal government is turning it over to the counties that it services. If we don't have a better transportation system that links with other municipalities and places where people really need to go in a safe and a better way than what they're doing right now, we're going to lose Sunrail, and I don't think if we lose it, we're ever going to get it back. So I think transportation is a huge issue. Also, sustainable and affordable housing. That's a huge issue, especially with our American citizens coming over from Puerto Rico, and then also sustainable housing. That working with developers, working with municipalities, so we can, with all the massive growth that we're experiencing, that if we do it in a smart way, where you're creating plenty of green space, that you're using more native species in the building, adding solar packages, Energy Star packages, that sort of thing to the homes. And some people have already really been on the forefront of that, but make it a more universal, make it so that the counties got everybody's back when it comes to those type of issues.
Because I think a lot of people hear about the things that you're talking about, but they don't know how to access them, or they feel like that's got to be for someone else, or it doesn't make sense for me. And then they kind of tuck it away until it's brought up again, and then there's some kind of news story that goes on. What I feel like you've done and what you're trying to accomplish is really making it so that everybody could reach out to Eric. I mean, Eric is definitely accessible, which is awesome. Whenever you have somebody who is in a position like yours, and a position that you want to be in, that you're running for, it's so important, especially in this day and age. We talked about social media earlier before the show, how important it is, because people feel like they have this, okay, I want to connect with him, I want to figure it out. And you're very open to that. And I think that's how, I believe, that's how you've engaged people to get involved in your initiatives.
Well, and I've put my cell phone and my email out on everything, so the cell phone number that people see that's on my Facebook page, and all the material that I have, because it is really an accessibility, really, especially if it's in a critical situation. If, let's say, you see somebody dumping something, or if you see something that's happening in the environment that needs to be taken, you really don't have time, especially on a weekend when some places are closed. And another thing that, especially when I win for county commissioner, that people don't know the difference between county services and city services.
That's absolutely true.
And it drives people crazy. They get so frustrated. They're like, Eric, I'm calling you because I don't know where to go, because I'm having a garbage issue, I'm having the service issue. And I think that a collaboration with the city, with the city of Orlando, city of Winter Park, any of the areas that border unincorporated areas in Orange County, that just like on the property appraiser, wouldn't it be great if you can just type in your address and then it shoots you to where you're supposed to go, instead of being on hold and pressing 2 and pressing 4, and then 10 minutes later you find out that you're not even talking to the right municipality. So little tweaks like that, I think that would provide for better services in the county and the cities.
So you have an initiative that you're going to announce on the show. Something new that's coming up. I'm excited for this.
Yeah, we're going to have the official press release tomorrow. It's under corporate approval right now, and this is huge. This is, to my knowledge, the biggest collaboration between the public and private sector that we've ever had. And I've been really working with some wonderful people at Barefoot Vineyards. We did a lake cleanup at Lake Baldwin, at one of the coldest days of the year, and we had a bunch of volunteers. It went flawlessly, and Barefoot Vineyards has made a commitment, and we've worked out plans that we are doing the Orange County Lake Cleanup Tour 2018, cleaning up more than 30 lakes. With nonprofits, HOAs, neighborhood associations, and because we negotiated with Barefoot, they're picking up the entire bill. So this is going to cost the taxpayers of Orange County nothing.
That's absolutely amazing.
30
lakes.
Yeah, more, and probably more than that. We did 30. We're printing them on the back of shirts. We're going to have a whole website on it. The person that attends the most is going to get a prize at the end. And we're working with nonprofits. We worked with the GLBT Center to do Lake Baldwin. We're going to be working with Ideas for Us and with Sierra Club and other ones to make this a collaborative effort that we taking the residents of a certain area, a certain lake, a nonprofit, the Soil Water Conservation District, and then having that commitment by a private company. And to my knowledge, this has never been done.
That's absolutely amazing. And how did Barefoot get involved?
Well, my friend Roxy Santiago hooked me up with.
I know that name.
Yeah, she's great. She's been around for
awesome.
a while too. And Ansleaf with Barefoot, I reached out to her and say, hey, this is an idea. And she said, do you know Eric Rawlings? And so she had some time to plan this. We did an email introduction, talked to her on the phone for about 10 minutes, and I was able to, because we've done so many of these lake cleanups, that I was able to get the kayakers involved. David Weaver's charge of that. We were able to get the whole thing organized in about 2 or 3 hours. And she was like, wow, this is great. Can I take this to corporate and see if this is something that we can commit to over a long period of time? And all the people, it's so wonderful that, it's one thing to start these initiatives, but when you really have the backing of other people that are really on the same mindset and really want to do for the greater good, I mean, it really makes it a lot easier and a lot more fruitful.
Awesome announcement. I love it. All right. So any parting word? First of all, you have been awesome, and we're gonna post all of Eric's information, his contact information, your URL, some hashtags. Are there any parting words you want to see how fast it goes? I told you it goes fast,
it does. Well, I want to say thank you for being Series 101 or episode
That's right.
101.
This is it, 101.
And thank you, Ted, for all that you do, because bringing this awareness on so many different topics, it's really great. So I appreciate all your dedication, because it is really a dedication to do this every day.
Every day, but look how I get to talk to these amazing people like you who have something they need to say and that we all need to hear, and you've got a voice and a story, and I absolutely love that.
Well, great. I just have 2 announcements to
please.
When we were talking about the fracking, there's 2 ban on fracking bills, and these are good bills. These aren't the bad ones. And so we're taking a bus with 7 other different municipalities all across the state January 31st. Leaves at 5 in the morning. We're going up there. We're lobbying our legislators, and then we're coming right back. We should be back around 11. The trip is free. Lunch is free. Snacks, beverages, all that is free. And even if you've never had a face-to-face for your legislators, we do the training on the bus. I personally do the training. We do an introduction. And then lastly, if anybody would like to come out and canvass for the District 3 County Commission race, I will be at 903 Mills on Saturday from 11 to 6, and then on Sunday from 12 to 6.
Awesome. You're a blessing to our community.
Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
We love you guys. We'll answer some of the questions, and Eric will definitely go back through and answer your questions and reach out to you. It's been awesome. I love it. I really
love seeing all the comments that are coming up.
So it's great to watch really that, right? Because you feel the love. There's lots of
your
love.
Concentration a little
bit.
It does
a little bit
because
you want to watch. Tony, I don't know why. It's definitely, Tony actually said, you're buffering. It's normally on your end because we are clean. and clear, but it happens, my friend, so don't worry about it. Thank you, Eric, so
okay,
much
thank
for all
you very
do.
much.
So we'll post everything. We love you guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow, you mentioned him earlier, we have Pete Clark, who's running for Orange County Mayor, on the show tomorrow, and I'm excited to kind of hear what Pete has to say.
And I worked with Pete to unanimously do a resolution to ban fracking in Orange County 2 years ago.
Awesome. So you guys do great work. We love you.
Thank you.
See you tomorrow.
Okay.
Thank you.